You create a space in my life that allows me to have time with my child, that allows me to make our house a home, that allows me to explore like hobbies and things that I didn't have time for when I was as equally outside of the house. So you create essentially like a for the lack of better verbiage, a safe space for me, right? Hey guys, and welcome back to another week of Life After I Do podcast. I am your host, Nisha G, and I am here yet again with my one and only forever co-host,
Your husband,
my husband.
Molito.
How's everyone doing? How are you doing, babe?
I'm Gucci, baby. You look good.
Oh, thank you. I did it just for that.
Did you?
Yeah.
We can cut the pot in short today.
Okay. We didn't have to go that far. I just, and I just wanted to look decent for you today.
I got something to show you later.
Okay. Just wanted to look decent for you today.
Okay.
How was your week?
It was exhausting.
Why?
I worked a lot of hours this week and tried to accomplish a lot of things, but we got them done.
Yep.
Got through the week, and here we are.
Here we are.
Potting.
You're so
How's your
silly.
week?
My week was really good. Had to do a lot with the little as she prepares for her first competition on Sunday. So we've had some extra practice times. We've had to rearrange some homework stuff so that she could make sure that, the important stuff is done, like schoolwork, studying, and all that stuff, so that she could have more time to practice. So that's what we've pretty much been consumed with for the week. And then just, my weekly household errands and just trying to stay on top of things. I still have a ton of laundry to do before tomorrow. So once we're done podding, I'm going to go back to doing laundry.
Right.
Because laundry is like something
Don't
that's
stop.
never ending.
Can't stop. Don't stop.
No,
Rockefeller records.
you can't.
We get down, baby.
You can't. So, yeah. So that's pretty much.
Tied to Todd. They love her.
Oh, okay. I don't even know what to say to that. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna be diving into something that is pretty much like a hot topic. I feel like this is always a hot topic. It's a continuous hot topic.
Hot off the press.
It's just one of those things that between the sexes, it's what do they call it? Like the
battle of the sexes.
The battle of the sexes type things. And for me, I can understand why, especially in today's climate. But I also can't really understand why, if that makes sense. I don't know, but we're gonna do our best to kind of delve into it and give our 2 cents. And yeah, we're just gonna kind of hop right into it. So today we're gonna be talking about submission and leadership. Submission and leadership in your
Submit
marriage.
to me, baby.
Submission and leadership in your marriage, and like what that looks like for different people, how that's perceived today, some of the bigger comments that I've heard regarding submission, especially on social media, especially with just today's like idea about relationship and how relationships are in marriage. It's pretty interesting, and I can understand why it's also one of those things that's like a button pusher for a lot of people, you know?
Yeah.
So
Loosen up my buttons, baby.
okay, enough with the singing, dude. You're not even a good singer.
Wow. It'd be the ones you love
Always.
that kill your dreams.
You did not have a dream of being a singer.
You didn't know that?
Okay. Did you have a dream of being a singer? If so, I apologize.
I should have been in Drew Hill, personally. My thing.
Okay.
Let's get into it, though.
All right.
So, yeah, submission and leadership.
Yes, submission and leadership. So first, me starting out with like a definition and understanding of what submission and leadership is. Understanding the concept of submission is a voluntary act of yielding or deference, not as a sign of weakness or inferiority.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Leadership is about guiding, protecting, and providing for your partner while fostering mutual respect and trust.
Okay.
Do you agree?
I
Like
agree. I agree.
that's the census of it all.
I agree. Especially while the pack where it says, submission is voluntary.
Right.
It's a voluntary
It's a
act.
voluntary act.
Voluntary. I
So
mean, I guess you can uh, beat people into submission.
no, you can't. But okay, so that just kind of just entertained me for a second. Would you say that in the dynamic of there being someone who submits and there being someone who's a leader, who would you say has the most, I guess, to gain, or really the one who has the most control? Because I think that's kind of what it comes down to, especially with,
I
hold on, just especially when it comes to like women, about submitting to a man. It's like, you're not gonna have control over me.
I personally feel these are my personal feelings. I feel like when you are in the leadership role and you have someone that is submitting to you, you have the most to lose because it's at the end of the day, it's your reputation and your name on the line.
Mm.
Like you have submitted to me and now I am responsible for every aspect of your life. So my success is your success and your success is my success, but I am the driving force behind that. So it's my responsibility to make sure that the things are in place so that you can be successful in your endeavors and in your ventures. So everything at the end of the day falls on me. So whether it's if something's not able to be paid, if something's not able to get done, if something gets missed, if something is lost, it's on me because as being the leader and as you being my submissive wife, it is my job to provide you with the necessary tools and resources to then um, execute what needs to be executed in the relationship. But it all starts and ends with me. If I'm not providing or protecting or securing you in any way or any way, shape, form, or fashion, then I am the one that is failing. You're not failing.
So then back to the question, who would you say has basically the advantage? Like, who gains more? Would that be
I
the
would
submissive,
say
or that would
I
be
I
the
would
leader?
I would say that the submissive gains more
I wouldn't
because
disagree with you either.
the submissive person now has a weight taken off of them. It's
It's
not
a different kind of weight, I would
right,
say.
right. Well,
Yeah.
like the burden, right? Like the burden of like financial things, resources, right?
Or just fully
The
carrying a
right,
family.
right. That is taken off of them. Now they have the burden of making sure things run properly,
Yeah.
because it's like if I'm giving you all the keys to success, but the
Or
machine
you're
ain't
providing with
right, and
resources.
the machine ain't turning properly, it's clanking, and
Right.
the transmission ain't got fluid.
Right.
Then now that's on you because I provided you everything.
Right. So
But
it's
it's also hold on, but it's also on me to set the tone
right.
of the marriage,
Right.
because you can't say, "Oh, this is not functioning." If we like again, like we had talked about a couple of pods ago, I can't say, "Hey, this is not working. This is not functioning." If you are not aware of my expectations, so I'm saying, as the leader, as your
Or your
husband,
guidance.
right? As the leader, as your husband, as your confidant, I am providing you with X, Y, and Z. I expect A, B, and C to be done with these resources. Now, if we get to the point to where we need a V and a D to be done, now we can sit down and we can discuss
The way you put those
right right together. Now we can sit down and discuss what needs to be done to make us accomplish that. But if I'm doing my part and now you're not living up to your part, then it's I mean then it's like, okay, well, what are you doing? Because you're not leading up, you're not living up to the expectation.
Right. So essentially it comes down to, it's a give and take. Like
Yes.
that's the way I look at submission and leadership. It is a give and take. Um you as the leader of our household, yes, you have a very heavy burden, because regardless of what you've got going, it doesn't change the fact that your family still needs taken care of.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And then me being your wife and being in that supportive role and trying to be that supportive partner and still trying to be solution oriented, I still have to aid you and, you know, essentially keep you up so that you can do what needs to be done for the family,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it's really a give and take. So for me personally, I don't look at it as someone trying to control me. I don't look at it as, you trying to control me or you trying to um create a dynamic where I don't have a say, because I know that I do have a say. Do we have circumstances sometimes where I feel like I'm not really being heard? Absolutely, because we have had discussions like that where I'm like, okay, well, this is how I feel about it, and I really feel like you're not taking into consideration. But you've always also been really good, like I said a couple of pods ago, about trying to show me the pros and the cons, right? And it's not that you're not trying to take my counsel, it's just that, like you say, sometimes there's some things that you can see that I can't, and vice versa. There are some things that I can foresee as my intuition and relying on my female intuition that you cannot see. And in those spaces, that is where I cover you. And that is where, I take care of you and I become that helpful partner. And it's that give and take. You know what I mean? So instead of looking at it as, when I'm on social media and this is what I hear, like, I pay my own bills, I take care of my kids, I can do this and I can do that. Okay, yes, of course. But it's like, if you're in relationship, if you're in marriage, I don't think that it was intended for you to take on all of those things by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And in order for things to run, in order for things to be functional, somebody has to, essentially have like the final say.
Right.
Even if it's something that we've discussed together, somebody has to make a decision to say, this is what's going to happen.
And at the end of the day, as the leader, it's it's technically my decision to make, whether we agree or not. It's my decision to make, and then also whether we agree or not, if it doesn't pan out,
Right.
it's
You're going to have
it's
to
still my
responsibility to fix it.
right, and it's
Right.
I'm the blame regardless whether or not I take your advice or not. I'm the blame.
Right.
So I think a lot of times people need to take that into accountability. I mean, not accountability. People need to take that into
Consideration.
consideration
Mm-hmm.
when the person in the leadership role makes a decision.
Yep.
Because as a leader, I understand that the outcome of this decision, whether good or bad,
It's still going to be on
it's
me.
going to be on me.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
when we're having a discussion about something and you want to go right, I want to go left, and I'm like, I can't really see it, and but left is looking really really good to me, and it's like, okay, well, we're just gonna go left
And
because
then
now,
left don't pans out.
okay, but left, okay, and if left doesn't pan out, I take full
Yeah.
accountability for that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a lot of times I don't think like a lot of times I feel as if like you don't really take that in consideration. Like I understand that at the end of the day, it all falls on me, whether it's my decision or not. It falls on me because even when it's your decision, as a leader, I have to understand that I allowed your decision to be final,
Mm-hmm.
and during the process of allowing your decision to be final, I am now responsible for your decision. That's
Right.
also the dynamic between the
Like,
submission and leadership.
right. Even if it's a situation where we both kind of are, like, whatever, if it didn't pan out, we both have to deal with that decision. But you, like you say, you're still going to have to type pretty much like manage that somehow.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who was it? I can't remember. Oh, I think it was on Cruise Season. Shouts out to them. Love their podcast. But they were talking about, when something goes wrong in a relationship, when something goes wrong in a marriage, they don't look at the woman to be like, "Ooh, what did she do?" The first thing they say is, "What did he do?
Hmm.
What happened? What, you know what I mean? Like, what was going on in their relationship? What did he do? How did he mess up?" Immediately it's like a default back on to the man, because regardless if people believe in submissive and leadership roles or what have you, as a society we naturally view men as like the leaders, the caretakers, the, you know what I'm saying? you're just always going to be viewed that way. I don't think we're ever going to get away from the idea that men are not meant to be leaders or looked up as, as leaders.
Mhm.
So I think that kind of takes me into why communication is so important in the dynamic of someone who's going to be the leader and someone who's going to be the submissive. In our dynamic, overall, you are the leader, right? But that doesn't mean that I don't have aspects of our relationship where I lead, right? So
Right.
like in home, I lead our home as in the operations of our home.
I acquiesce it to you.
Yeah, as in the operations of our home, that is all on me.
I
Everything.
will say that is a cheat code because that's to be honest,
What?
full transparency. That's just me taking stress off of me.
Yeah,
So if
it's
it
the give and take.
right, so if it's something to have to do with the house, all right, whatever you decide, that's what it
Right.
is.
It's
Like
it's the it's the give and take. Like you come home and you live in your home.
yeah,
You live in your home, and it's like you don't have to worry about if you're gonna go to the bathroom and there's no toilet paper.
no,
You don't have to worry about if,
this is your home.
it's our
No,
home.
it's not. 30, 20 years from now, it's gonna be Granny's house. It ain't gonna be
Okay.
daddy. It ain't gonna be Granny.
It ain't gonna be Papa's
It's
house.
gonna be Granny's house. It ain't my house.
But
I just paid a note.
I'm the leader of our household, and this dynamic right now in this time works for us in this time.
Right.
Like there was once upon a time, well, like I say, we both went to work, we both worked long hours, we had an infant, you know what I mean, and it was tough. Not that we couldn't do it or didn't do it, we did it, but it was tough, right? And in those instances we had to have a lot more conversations as to what's going to happen, like who's cooking dinner, like what. I feel like it wasn't necessarily like sit down conversations, but it was kind of like an understanding of planning out our week. Like on Saturday, I'm going to take care of the downstairs and like clean up, and then you
Mhm.
can take care of the upstairs and clean up. And it was like trying to split everything
But
as much as we could.
it was also a very different dynamic because we
Yeah,
had a house, but no one was in it.
right.
So when no one's in the house, it's
Yeah.
not nothing's being used, so it's not much to take care of once.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just talking about like how I guess the responsibilities of things of just like
Yeah,
running
yeah,
the house, and even when it came to the finances and stuff like that. But in this day and age, in this stage of the game, our roles, I guess you could say, are pretty like clear. It's
mhm.
pretty clear. You go outside and you take care of everything that's essentially external to the home, and I stay inside and I take care of everything that's essential to the interior of the home.
Yeah. Essentially, I supply you with the resources and you build it.
Right. So like at this point in time, everything just kind of works, I guess you could say, in a more traditional fashion. So that would put me in the submissive role.
Don't let me catch no milk running around.
Bye. And then that will put you more in that leadership role.
Yeah.
Um, I think what can get kind of muddy is, again, not expressing your expectations, not expressing your concerns, not expressing your desires, not expressing your needs. In order to be in a leadership role, you have to be able to effectively communicate to your partner who is submitting to you your needs, your desires, and your concerns, so that we can have a better balance. Just like for me, the person being in a submissive relationship, it's extremely important for me to express what my needs and my concerns are and what my desires are. Because, for me, I can look at it in a situation where if anything was to go awry and we needed to split for whatever reason, like you said in the beginning, you provide resources for me. Do
Mm,
you understand what I mean?
mhm.
So it's like all the resources that I have access to, you also have access to. If you wanted to be an ass at any point and try to withhold those resources, that would leave me out trying to figure out how I'm going to get something done so that I could walk away.
Well, I hope you chose wisely.
Oh, I did. I've got safeties in place.
Oh,
Don't play me. I
okay.
love you and all,
Okay.
but life can life.
Okay.
No, I'm teasing you.
Let it life.
But and I think that can be one of those things that can be a concern for people who are living or having a marriage in more of a traditional role, like
Right, because
traditional.
the whole thing about submission, right? Submission doesn't mean that you just
Relinquish all
you're
control.
right.
Yeah.
You don't just go along with everything. You still have your boundaries in place. You still have your limits, right? And um like I said before, like you were saying, the desires or the concerns, the expectations, they have to come from both sides because you have to have a common ground. Like we said on the very first episode, you have to have a common ground. You have to have a basis. Okay, well, this is the standard. This is what we both expect. This is the standard, and then we build from there. And when you have that, that makes falling into those roles a lot more easier
Hmm.
and a lot more comfortable for each person, right?
Yeah.
Because now we have an understanding, we have a bond, we built this thing up to now I can trust you to be the submissive wife I need. You can trust me to be the leadership husband that you need, and you can trust that my decisions are not decisions based solely on what I need, but are decisions based on what's best for the unit, for the
Hmm.
family unit,
Hmm.
and I can also trust in that the things you do and how you move is best for the family unit.
Hmm.
You're doing the little things that take pressure and weight off of me so that I can go out here and further try to build our family up.
Yeah. So, so I have a question for you. What does my submission look like to you?
Oh, look like how you dress right now.
Oh my gosh.
If you want to be real about it, I
Uh,
mean, your submission to me is honestly, if I'm being honest right now, it's would be the unwavering trust that you have in me and to go out there and get it,
hmm.
right? So you allow me to get up every day, leave home. I'm going from home 16, 17 hours a day, right? But you know that I'm out there doing what's required of me because every time you need something, the resources is there.
Hmm.
Every time you want to get something or we need something, the resources are there.
Hmm.
If our daughter needs something or she wants to do something, the resources is there. So your submission to me is saying, okay, well, when this man comes home, I'm going to have him some food.
Hmm.
I'm going to have his lunch packed. I'm going to do his laundry. I'm going to make sure, I leave him the notes.
Hmm.
I'm going to do these little things to take the little pressures off his life. Like the whole thing, like what you do. Like, okay, I'm going to have my friends come over visit me, but okay, my husband's about to be home. Time for y'all to go.
Gotta go.
You know what I'm saying? It's little things like that,
Gotta
right?
go.
It's having our daughter, rested and sleeping and out of the way. So, um, so when I come home, we can have that time to connect
Hmm.
between each other. That's submission. That's submission is you calling me, hey babe, I'm at the store. You need anything in particular this week? Or
Yeah.
hey babe, I'm at so and so. You need anything from here? You know what I'm saying?
Me considering your
Right.
needs,
Right.
basically.
Your submission to me, like you said, is you always considering what I may need no matter where you are.
Mhm.
So, and I think that goes both ways for both of us because, like, even when we're upset with one another, we're still going to think about, well, they need this. So,
Yeah.
I'm not just because I'm mad at you right now or we're going through whatever. I'm not going to neglect your needs
Right.
because at the end of the day, I'm still responsible
Right. I
for
still have a
fulfill.
duty. I still have
Right.
a duty to you, and
Right.
that's what it is. Like at the end of the day, when you're married, you still have a duty to your partner.
Right.
Like we all go through things like trust you, me and this man, we go through our stuff too. We go through our things where like you're just not the most popular person in my contact list at this point. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to cook you dinner. I'm still going to make sure you have lunch the next day. I'm still going to do all of the things that I have taken on as my end of the bargain, right? Because when we start dropping our obligations to each other, then that's when things really can start getting a little getting a little murky. Like you still have to have respect. You still have to try to live up to your obligations, hold up your end of the bargain, focus on your end of the bargain regardless of what's happening, because once that starts to break down, the dynamic starts to break down, and then the communication starts to break down, and then it's just like a domino effect, you know what I mean? So that's why the communication part has to be really, really important. Like, you're never going to not hear me talk about communication because it really, really, really is vital to your relationship. For me, what your leadership looks like, and what I have expressed as a need being under, your leadership, aside from the financial, it's the emotional security. It's the like the protection, both physically and mentally. It's, the protecting, the provision, all of that. Like, I expect that you still make time for me, even if you've worked 60 hours this week. I don't expect there to be this big, long, drawn out like date night, but I expect for you to carve out some time that is for me. Doesn't matter if you worked 60 hours or 70 hours. That is a need, that is an expectation on my part that we get some time together. And I know that's challenging. It's extremely challenging. Like, you come home at night sometimes and it's like, all you want to do is like go straight to sleep. And it's like, even though I've had a rough day, I want to lay down with you, but I also want to tell you about my day. And I also want to have some type of interaction with you.
Mm.
So I know that can be difficult, but the fact that you still try to at least carve out 20 minutes laying down, or, an hour looking at something with me, that's important because that's a requirement for me. That's almost like a non-negotiable. Um,
I mean, you do the same for me. You toot that ass up.
Yeah, okay. That's not even this. Oh my gosh. Okay. So anywho, but when I think about, like, even just small things, even just small things, when something goes like wrong in the house, or if something breaks or something in the house, for me, I don't even think well, it depends on what it is, but I don't even really think about like, oh, let me try to fix this. I'll be like, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on his honey-do list. He can go ahead and fix that. If it's something that's like really small or whatever around the house and I can take care of it, I'll take care of it. But if not, then I know that, like, to my man, thank you to my man.
I want to know
He's,
what's small that you've taken care of because I
like some small, like if a screw came out of a chair or something, like something small.
okay.
Like something small. But like another prime example for me is what we just had a discussion about last night about the gas, right? The gas in the car.
Oh,
So, he's gotten me to a point where I legit stopped looking at the gas hand in my car because my car always has gas. He would have a routine where he would get up before work and he would drive, 5 exits away from the house, because apparently, Sam's Club is that much cheaper. And
oh, it
he
is.
and he would go and he would fill my car up. He would come back home. He would leave for the gym, come back, get ready for work, and he had this whole routine. So I always had gas in my car. On the very few occasions where I didn't have gas in the car, or where I noticed I didn't have gas in the car, he'd be like, your car doesn't have gas. And I'm be like, okay, well, because you didn't go put any gas in there. Like, but he'll be like, but you should still have gas because what did you tell me? I get your gas on Sundays and
Sundays and
Thursdays.
Thursdays.
I get your gas on Sundays and Thursdays
If I
because,
gotta get a day early, that means you've been doing too much driving.
right. And he was like, that means you've been driving or doing more driving than you normally do during the week because your car should have gas. And so if I get in your car and it's like your car doesn't have gas, why didn't you tell me your car needed gas before, its regular scheduled timing to go get gas? And I would tell him, like, because the car usually always has gas. Like, I do, I don't understand.
But like I told you, like,
But see, for me, that is a form of provision.
right.
That is a
But
form of provision.
but this is also like for me, this is also something I can say where you can take if you know you need something, you need to relay that message, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
right. So like if you need gas outside of your schedule, because I'm not thinking about it. If it's Wednesday, I'm not thinking about getting you gas because
Because it ain't gas
because it
day.
ain't gas.
It's not gas day.
But so if you need gas, that's something you need to tell me Tuesday, hey babe, I need gas.
Yeah.
So then when you do that, then I take care of it on Wednesday.
But Are you do I not get brownie points that last week? I put gas in my car?
You did
I did.
you
I
did
did.
something that
Not
millions
that
of adults do across the world.
just I put gas in my car,
Mhm.
right?
And I packed my lunch,
Okay.
so, I mean, it's I guess we're all doing things we don't normally do here, okay?
In all fairness, you were doing that because I was cooking dinner and getting her I mean, cooking breakfast and getting her ready.
It don't
But
matter
any
it don't
case,
matter why I was doing it, what matters is the fact that I had to do it to get out of the house on time.
okay, so yes. So I mean that again, that goes back to like the communication as well,
Right,
right? So but I say that all to say like that for me that's like a form of provision, right? Like just as coming in my house and turning on lights and being able to go to the refrigerator and get food, that's also a point of his provision and his him providing for me and our family. And that stems from the dynamic that we have cultivated in this time in our relationship through our communications and communicating what we need, what we want, what we desire. I think at the core of any type of submissive rule, there has to be like respect as well, right? So since you're looked at as the overall leader of the house, not only do you deserve respect,
I demand it.
but oh my gosh, I can't with you. Not only do do you require respect, not only as the leader, as my husband, as a man in general, respect always is mutual.
Always,
Always.
always.
Respect is
Right.
like
So, it
non-negotiable.
has to be a two-way street.
Right. So when we're having discussions about things that can impact our family or impact our life or whatever, and I'm coming to you with an opposing point or something, my point should still be respected whether you agree with it or not.
Facts.
And I think with this type of dynamic, that can be a fear for a lot of people, most particularly women who are going to be in the submissive role where they feel like they don't have a say or they feel like their words are not going to be respected, um, or they're not like, that they can't actively participate in the decision making of their house, of their world, of their life. And that should be far, far from the truth. In all actuality, the way I like to see it is that sometimes I feel like sometimes I might have more control, right? Because I am the partner that's like I am like the helpmate. I am helping you get to a point of resolve, right? And
Right.
I know that my words and I know my advice heavily influences you,
Facts.
right? So,
Facts.
yeah, you might be the one to make the final say,
But I might just be relaying your
but
ideas.
you, because it's my advice that you're taking.
And another way,
So, who
and
has more control, the submissive or the leader?
I mean, like I've said, when done properly, the submission has more control because the risk is all up on the leader.
Yeah. But as a leader, you also do get
But
benefits.
I also feel like as a man, we're just wired this way. We're
Absolutely.
wired to take
Most.
control.
Most
We're
men.
wired to take risks. Like there's
Mhm.
nothing I wouldn't do for my family, and I
Mhm.
don't mind falling on a sword for my family.
Mhm.
Now I'm not gonna fall on my sword for some dumb shit, but I will fall on the sword to make sure that my family has what they need and that they are protected and safe.
Yeah. So that kind of takes me into adaptability and flexibility.
Okay.
So like just like earlier when you talked about or when I had said that I put gas in my car last week
Hmm.
and one day you packed your lunch, right? That's the flexibility of it all. Because even though we
Yeah.
still have defined roles, and we are
Very defined.
right now we're operating from a very traditional place,
Hmm.
that doesn't mean that it can't be flexible. That doesn't mean that I'm going to take on some of your responsibilities
Right.
and you're going to take on some of mine.
Because there's gonna be times in which one of us, for whatever the reason, maybe not be needs help, needs more help than normal. So
Right.
it's my job as your partner to step in and say, okay, I got free time today. Let me help my babe. Let
Right.
me let me go do a couple things that I wouldn't normally do around the house.
Let me pack my lunch while she's making breakfast.
Let me go, let me, run some errands that she made,
Mhm.
let me just do something to help her out. And then
Right.
that goes both ways. And that's about being that's about being, like you said, about being flexible. And
Mhm.
also I think we adapted very well because once our daughter started the whole school thing and with the extracurriculars, like that changed things as well.
Right.
So now we had to adapt to a new schedule. So now it's like, all right, now we're three people in the house, and somehow the youngest one in the house has the roughest schedule. Like, I don't know how,
Right.
well, how her schedule dictates what we do,
Yeah.
um, all the time. So like, we had set days where we, okay, on this day we're gonna do this on that, and like, and then she became of age and it's like, okay, well now we have to adapt because now we can't have the regular schedule program anymore because now we have a, like I said, she has a full schedule.
Right.
She's a whole person with, so many friends, as she says.
Oh, she has so many friends. But yeah, so the flexibility and adaptability is inevitable. When you're doing life with somebody, you can have everything planned out. You can have everything mapped out. It doesn't mean anything is going to go according to plan. I think that the more traditional rules that is working for us right now just makes things a little bit more easier. There's not any type of confusion as to who should be doing what primarily, or who should not be doing what primarily, but also being able to be more in tune with your partner to know when your partner also needs help, or for you to step in and say, "Hey, she can't do this right now, so I'm going to go ahead and do it," or vice versa, "He can't do this right now, so I'm going to go ahead and do it." You have to be adaptable and flexible within your relationship, because if you just simply, like, for instance, again, last week when you were packing your lunch while I was making breakfast, you could have very well just went and sat at the table and waited for your breakfast and assumed that your lunch was also already packed, or it was going to get packed. But if I would have packed your lunch after I had made the breakfast, then you probably wouldn't have gotten out on time. You know what I mean? Um
Yep, or
because
nope,
that
I
was a
hate being
morning
late.
that was a morning after our daughter had a late practice. So we're not getting home until 9:30 at night, and by that time it's like everything is like in a rush to try to hurry up and get to bed. So my morning started a little bit later because it also took me a lot more time to try to get her day started. So even though it's not anything that was our normal routine, where we saw, or where you saw where you could pick up a little bit of my slack, you stepped in. Same thing like with my gas when I was out running errands and then the little light flashed at me. I had enough miles to get back home. I could have just drove back home and then would have been like, "Hey, just so you know, my car needs gas." But instead I was like, "Okay, well, he's not going to be home until 10 o'clock tonight anyway. And he's got to go to the gym in the morning. I'm just going to stop and put gas in my car because I'm also not handicapped and I'm also not above putting gas in my car." It's just it's just this
You're
is
not handicapped.
Bye. Why? Because when I'm with my husband, my
Mm,
wrist is
that's
broken. That's what
all.
I always tell him. I'm like, when I'm with my husband, my wrist is broken. But I'm not above putting gas in my car, or picking up your slack, or if you need help or whatever, because that's just our dynamic. The rules just make it easier for the day to day, but we both have a very good understanding to know that it does not mean that we can, or our roles won't bleed over into each other,
Mm,
right?
right.
Um
It's just like also other days. Like um I was at work and I needed some money to be moved. I was like, hey, I need you to go to one bank, take it
mhm,
over to the other bank because if I transfer it through the phone, it's gonna take so long for it to go through. So I need you to go out and
mhm.
something that I would normally handle myself, but now I'm in a situation where, hey, I'm working.
Yep.
I can't get there in time. I need you to go do this for me. And so I was like, that's another example of how
Mhm.
like you had to be, flexible and adapt to something that you normally wouldn't do. Even though you called like two or three times to make sure that you had the right accounts. I was like, I don't know how difficult it is. We don't have that many accounts, but
I mean, I just want to make sure I was putting things where you wanted them to go. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Oh my gosh, I can't with you. Um I think another point that's really important in a dynamic of submission and leadership is ensuring that each party feels empowered.
Mm.
I think that also goes along with respect, maybe, but allowing each person to feel empowered in their role. Like you said earlier, my submission to you looks like my trust, like the trust that I have in you. That can allow you to feel empowered to say, I'm in control of my family. I have the final say. I know which direction we're going, and I have someone who's not going to give me so much pushback that it makes my job hard to do.
I don't like that. I'm in control of my. I'm not. I don't believe I'm
Well, you
in
know what I mean.
control.
I mean, like the goals that we have as a family, you're in the driver's seat to ensure that we get to those goals.
Okay, that's
Okay,
fair.
is that better for
Yeah,
you? Um, that's where you get your, I would assume, I can't speak for you, but is that empowering for you?
yeah, very much so.
Okay. So that's what, I guess, how I can give you empowerment, which is through the encouragement that I give you, me not trying to put up a fuss at every turn with your decision making or how you're choosing to guide this family. Um, for me, that looks like you creating a space for me to be me.
Right.
You create a space in my life that allows me to have time with my child, that allows me to make our house a home, that allows me to explore like hobbies and things that I didn't have time for when I was as equally outside of the house. So you create essentially like a for the lack of better verbiage, a safe space for me, right?
Hmm.
You create space so that I can have space in my life. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I feel like that's how you empower me. And I'm grateful for that.
and I'm happy that I can do that for you.
Appreciate it, and the thing is like this dynamic, like I always say, works for us now. It may not work for us in the next year. It may not work for us in the next 2 years, but right now in this space it works, and we have a better flow. I feel like we have a better understanding. I feel like there's not much confusion. I feel like tempers don't run as high. Not to mean that we still don't have stressors or that we deal with stress or things that come up just being married. But I think as far as dynamics go, I like this dynamic more than I thought I would like this dynamic,
Mm.
because this is something that you have wanted for a while.
So you wish you would have stayed at home off rip
um
when she came home?
no. uh-uh
Mm.
no, I was very desperate to go, like, and love my child with all my heart, but I was very desperate to go back to work after I gave birth. I was like, love you both, but mama's gotta go. Mama's gotta get out of here. But I mean, it's also different when you are in it. You know what I mean? Because I had an idea of what it would be like being a stay-at-home parent. And first of all, it's nothing like I thought it was. Second of all, a lot harder than I thought it was.
It is.
Um
Let me say this.
it's
I've
it,
said this so many times, and I will always say this.
it is.
I would rather go to work
I mean,
20 hours a day
my
than
goodness.
to do what she does day in, day out.
And then I will, to be fair, it has gotten a lot more leveled than before, because before she was little. She was a baby. And now it's a little better only because she is a little bit older. So there's the conversation, like, because she can actually talk and speak now.
Oh,
But she's active.
she don't stop talking.
Yeah, she don't. Well, she gets that from me. But she's active. So now that it just incorporates more of an actual schedule for the family, like trying to juggle the things that I'm currently doing right now, and trying to juggle all that she's doing, and then making space for you, and taking care of the house. You know what
And
I'm
then
saying? It's
making time for us to all three of us to be
be
together. Be
together,
together.
right? Like it can get a little tricky
Just
there with
for
the
a
family schedule.
just for a family bed.
Oh, that's what our daughter always says. She's hilarious, dude. Um,
Family hug.
but like if I didn't, I like this dynamic now, and I do feel like it has leveled out for me a little bit because she is a little bit older, but in the
Hmm.
beginning it was really kind of tough because it was an
Right.
adjustment. Um
I think we really both have grown in this dynamic
yeah.
because it was it was an adjustment on both parts because I was used to that extra that extra stack every week from your paycheck
Oh, yeah.
coming in.
Yeah.
And so I was out here wilding like I got it, like because
No,
and it was
you
like, wait, hold on,
didn't.
I got to cover this too.
You don't
you know
have it.
so I
You-
mean it switched up. I mean it was nice. I mean, we do pretty well for ourselves.
we made it work, but
I mean, sometimes I do miss it. Sometimes I do wish I can go down to the gun store, just
bye.
pick up a rifle without thinking about what I got to pay next week. you know,
I mean, but like I said, and like I've always said, this dynamic works now in this season.
right?
It might be different like next year because I've expressed to you how many times that where I was like, I think maybe it's time for me to go back to work. Maybe I want to go back to work. Like I have moments where I'm like,
I think
mm,
everybody want to go to work. You got to set an alarm. When
I mean,
that alarm make it real.
I still have to get up every day at the same time anyway. So, but
It's a different get up because
I
you're getting right back down.
Okay, no, but I think what it is too, sometimes I can like see it in his face when he's like really, really tired. We got off topic,
We
but I
did.
can see it in your face. Like sometimes when you're like really, really tired and like we all get up, we have our morning routine, everything. I give him his coffee, he has his breakfast, we have our conversations, blah, blah, blah. And then you're getting ready to walk out the door, and I'm like still there in my pajamas trying to walk you to the door. And I'm like, I want you to have the greatest
And what do-
I want you
and what do I tell you?
I want you to have the greatest day, babe, and
And
I
and,
love you.
and what do I tell you? I go, babe, I'm ready for you to tap in. I'm ready. I'm ready for you to tap in. It's
Th-
been how many
Those are the days you
how many years you been home by now?
three,
Three
I
and a
think
half, something
three,
like
a
that.
little over three,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm ready. Yeah, tap in.
And he has some days where he'll call me on the phone and he'll be like, "All right, babe, I'm
Uh,
ready to be a stay-at-home dad.
Take care of me.
I'm ready to be a stay-at-home dad." And I'm like, "Okay, like, I can
These motherfuckers get on my
we
nerves.
we can do it. Just know what you'll be getting yourself into."
I don't want that either.
And I also I don't like spaghetti on Wednesdays.
Oh, you
I
getting it
like
3 times a week. You getting it 3 days a
let me give
week.
you the rundown of all the food I don't want you to cook.
You cooking. I'm cooking
Let
everything
me
you
tell you
don't
what it
want.
is I do want to cook, and then when you pack my lunch, let me tell you I want my lunch packed. Don't forget to vacuum the upstairs. Don't forget to sweep and mop the downstairs. She has practice
Right,
at 6. Don't forget you only have 2 hours for homework. Make sure.
right. But I'm just saying, like with all that being said, like you see how much, like you know over the course of time, the leadership role can take a toll, and I see
Yeah.
how much the submission role can take a toll on you.
Right.
Like granted, you're not necessarily responsible for like the be all end all of the survival,
Yeah.
but you're responsible for the day to day, and that can oftentimes become very mundane
Yeah.
because
It's
it's
the
like
mental aspect of it
you're
too.
just going through the motions. It's like you said, we're cooking this on Monday, we're cooking this on Tuesday. Like it's a routine,
Hmm.
and a lot of times it's like it's hard to get to the spot, that space where you get out of the routine. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I think that's why we both have done a good job in growing into the roles we had, because like I said before, at the beginning it was new to
Hmm.
us, you know.
Hmm.
And it was very new to you because at the beginning, when with us, being in the pandemic and her still being young, it's like y'all used to sleep till like noon, and
Right.
I'm up at like 4 in the morning, like yo, like this is disrespectful. Like
Right.
I got to get up at 4, I I got to go to work, then I got to
And we were
swing.
spread out like this.
Then I gotta swing by the store before I come home because
because we're
that's
not leaving the
that's
house.
when I didn't let you guys leave the house because of COVID and all that stuff. And I was like,
Like, we were legit in the house.
and
It
I
was
was
me and my two other friends, and all of our husbands' jobs were essential. So we all stayed in the house, me and my two other friends, us and the babies, and we would be on FaceTime like almost every day. We would have margarita Mondays. We would FaceTime at like 6 o'clock. Our husbands would like take things to each other's houses. Like, if we all needed something, like, you can't get this or you can't get this. That's legit how it was. But us, like the wives and the kids, we stayed in the house. Our husbands had essential jobs, so they did all of the going back and forth. So we was just at home, like,
right.
kicking it. And I was still working from home a little bit, like that first 11 months or so. I
It
was
wasn't really
still
working.
well, I still had to, I mean, I still had to work. Like, I wasn't working like I was when I was going out, but I was still working from home. And so it was kind of like, for me, the way I was working and then being at home, even working from home, it felt like a little bit of a vacation. Like, I was like, oh yeah, this is good. And then once I made the decision to not go back, I quickly realized that being the primary parent in the household, after that first year, I said, okay, nah, boo, this is not vacation. We gonna have to put some schedules in place. We go because,
Right.
like, I quickly realized, like, where all that hard work of being a stay-at-home parent and being the primary parent came in after that first year. I was like, oh hell no.
And that's
Like,
and that's what I'm talking about. We both grew in our roles. And then, once, like you said, once reality hit you and
mm-hmm.
it got hard on you, then I was there to like, okay, babe, like, well, what do you need from me
Yeah.
to make your day easier?
Cause
But in the back of my mind, I'm like, at least you at home. I'm out here dealing with these motherfuckers.
and running the risk of getting sick, nigga.
You talking about she been crying all day. I'm over here dodging coughs and sneezes. all day.
Suspecting every time I'm still doing that. Every time someone coughs or sneezes, I'm like, oh
you know,
shoot.
but it's like, but we gave ourselves, well, we gave each other rather,
Yeah.
you
Of
know,
service to each
right,
other and of
right.
service to our
So
family.
we offered, we had emotional and practical support,
Right.
right. So we came together to do what was necessary for us to thrive
Mm-hmm.
in that time,
Mm-hmm.
like very similar to what we do now. We get
Yeah.
together and we do what has to be done for us to thrive.
Right. And you're, like I say, you are of service to me and our family. And being in the submissive role, such as myself, I am of service to my family and to my husband. And I don't take that role lightly, just as I know you don't take your role lightly.
Mm,
But there's a lot of selflessness that goes
that's
into
it.
both
That's
roles.
that's
A
my
lot of
favorite word.
selflessness because if there comes a time where you come home late and it's like, I mean, you don't normally eat after 4, but if you come home late and all of a sudden you want something to eat, there is food there. And it's like, if I'm asleep, I will still get up and go downstairs and warm you up some food. Like, I don't
Yeah,
have
we
to.
just gotta work on you warming up the particular. Like if I came in at like 11, like I need like a Reuben sandwich or something. Like you
I
get
can't.
that.
I can't with him.
We haven't got to that level yet.
I can't. I cannot.
You'll make me
Cannot.
something to eat. You like I'm gonna warm up these leftovers. You can eat while I go back to bed.
I have held up my bargain to ensure that you have sustenance. Okay? Okay? So, yeah, so I mean, the key takeaway points for me would be just the respect, the communication, the encouragement, and the foundation, laying out your needs, your wants, and your desires. And all that comes through communication, however the rules look in your relationship.
Right.
Um, but those things are going to be really key. You have to be able to communicate with your partner what your wants are, what your needs are, what your desires are, what you require. Especially if I'm going to submit to you and be under your leadership,
Hmm.
I have to ensure my protection. That's essentially what it is. You have to make sure that I am protected, but I have to ensure my protection somehow. So I have to make my needs very clear to you, just
Right.
like you have to make your needs very clear to
Right.
me. And in between that, the dynamic may change, and that's where the flexibility and adaptability come in at. But essentially, I have to ensure that I have a say and that I still feel empowered, just as you do.
Facts.
Okay. So I think that was a pretty good episode. I enjoyed the conversation, babe.
Do, do, do,
Thanks.
do.
I enjoyed that. So again, if you're not following us on social media, you can follow us at Life After I Do podcast on Instagram, on
Everything.
TikTok, on YouTube.
Everything.
Join the Facebook page, like and share the Facebook page, Life After I Do podcast with Nisha G and Mo Lethal.
The Grouch.
You can follow him on Instagram and TikTok at Mo Lethal,
The Grouch.
the Grouch.
No, I'm just Molito on TikTok. Oh, but on Instagram, I'm Molito the Grouch.
Okay. And on Instagram, you can find me at Kai_Nisha G. And
I'm about to
Kainisha
find you under
on
something.
TikTok.
Some cover. Where you looking
Bye.
today? Shit.
But until then, this has been another episode of Life After I Do podcast with your host, Nisha G. And
your husband, Molito.
And we will chat with you guys again in our next episode next week.
And we're going to talk about
new
that
episodes every Wednesday, guys. So don't forget. We'll check in with you Wednesday. Peace.
Peace out.